Yes, people, big shout out to everybody loving those vibes. Both tunes were by the one and only Damien Junagong Marley. Okay, that one was called Everybody Wants to Be Somebody. Right now, we're talking to the one and only Jenni Steele. Okay, she's going to be talking to us about a very important topic. Okay, so I'm not going to really talk about it. I'm going to let Jenni talk about it. But first, let's introduce her. So, how you doing, sis? You good?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long day, but it's good. It's been a good one.
That's good. But you know what? You're still here, still alive, still doing what you got to do. So it's blessed.
Trust me, we are blessed. Seriously, and everything that's going on, we are blessed. We must just try and get through this day by day as best we can.
For real. And of course, you know, people are locked in, they're listening. Who are you? Tell them who you are.
Who is Jenni Steele? Wow. How long we got?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Who am I? Do you know what? I am a mum of 3 adults.
Okay.
I am a grandma, so that's a glamorous grandma.
Okay.
Of 2 boys, soon to be 3 boys, because we have a new arrival this month.
Wow. Congrats.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I am a young person's independent domestic violence advisor.
Okay.
And I'm also a young person's independent sexual violence advisor.
Okay.
And then I run a company called Project Yana, which stands for You Are Not Alone.
Wow. Wow. That's a good start already. You seem like you have lots of different hats.
I have had in the past.
Yeah.
I think I've always kind of just been wanting to stand up and be that voice for the people, not particularly women, not particularly men, not particularly young people, just us as a people.
Yeah.
Within the community.
Wow. So, you know, sis, how did your journey begin in the community? What sparked that interest?
Do you know what? I always try to think about where I started. And I suppose I'd have to go back to being a young mum. So, you know, I don't know, for anyone who's kind of seen my picture and then you're hearing that I'm a glamorous grandma. I've been around for a little while, Kat. I've been around for a little while.
That's okay.
So I think I've done a lot of things that were possibly before my time.
Yeah.
So, you know, as a young mum, I had my 3 children. By the time I was 27, I was a mum of like a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Wow, you were busy.
Listen, girl, you know what? I wouldn't change that though.
Yeah.
Because now I can live life. I wouldn't change it. It wasn't easy, but now I can live life.
Wow, respect.
So I kind of wanted to meet other mums. So I didn't have no sisters. I don't have much family that I can actually say are there with me in London.
Okay.
My main family are up north, so my mum's from Manchester.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of just network with other women, other mums, to kind of give me some sort of inspiration and motivation, maybe looking at other mums as the future of me, what it's like to have teenagers, that type of stuff. So I set up a women's network called Lioness Ladies.
Okay.
And that was just literally bringing women together, having dinner. It was no specific sex thing. If 5 women turned up, it was 5. If 10 turned up, it was 10. And we would just network, and I would just bring in inspirational speakers. And it could be anything from, you know, life insurance conversations that we don't have as mums, conversations that's a conversation we don't have as parents. We don't have those conversations in the household. So I wanted to kind of talk about things that could support us for the future.
Yeah.
And then I think I just got, you know, that kind of went on for about 4 or 5 years. And then I started joining other community groups.
Okay.
I got involved in the safety neighbourhood team in Catford in South London. So I became the chair.
Okay.
And just joined various meetings within the community, and that kind of set off my path. And then I ended up running in some local council elections, and that was it. I was kind of, my foot was in. I was enjoying being the voice. I was enjoying educating people, bringing back relevant information on things that we kind of didn't know about, but we needed to know about, because obviously our children are growing up in the community, and that's kind of that just set me up
Yeah.
on the route I'm on now.
Wow, for real. Wow, you seem like you've got your hands in lots of different things. And you know, you're also a radio, you was or is a radio presenter. So many different.
Yeah, that was, listen, I love radio. I love the being in people's homes direct, talking to people, motivating people. And it's probably the same for you where you sit now.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, no one has to leave their house. You can motivate them. You can inspire them. You know, you can bring in speakers and play good music and just have fun. And I think I've always loved that element of radio and presenting. So, yeah, I've spent a good 7-8 years in radio, just doing positivity of what you're doing now.
Respect.
And then I couldn't kind of do that and get the qualifications that I was ready to get. So I kind of had to put radio presenting to one side.
Okay.
And get on with qualifying myself to do the work that I do today.
Yeah.
But the good thing about entertainment is you never leave.
Yeah, definitely.
You always, you know so many people, so much contact. You can always go to events and, you know, different kind of things that are going on. So you never actually fully leave. So it was great for me to actually come away from that and then get my qualifications to set up the business.
But you know what? That isn't all you've just done, because you've been an author, modelling, podcast, you're winning awards. Tell us something about that.
Woo! Boy. So I've done various bits. So with the entertainment industry, the acting, the modelling, the presenting, it kind of goes hand in hand, because people get to know you and then you end up doing like fashion shows.
Okay.
And then when you're at these events, I then became like a celebrity presenter. So I was actually presenting awards at like hair shows and like inspirational awards and things like that.
Yeah.
And then the author stuff came up. Probably the first book I became a part of was Letters to a Young Generation.
Okay.
And I was asked to write a chapter. I didn't know who any of the other authors was going to be. It was all done in secret.
Oh, okay.
I was asked to write a letter to my younger self.
Wow.
And I chose to write a letter about an unhealthy relationship that I was in as a teenager. Okay. And not particularly, because this was for young people, I didn't want to write about the actual relationship and the bad side of it, but I wanted to put, you know, how relationships are supposed to make us feel, what types of signs to look out for. And just to know that, you know, at the end of the day, we're not alone when we go through certain issues as young people.
Yeah, for real.
So, you know, that book's still there. It still helps me today. When I go into schools and do talks, I bring the book, I read the letter.
Yeah.
The letter is still very relevant, because I wanted to make that piece so relevant that even if you looked at it in 10 years' time, it will still have an impact on everyone in the community. And I think anything I've been in, the other book that I was in is in America.
Okay.
So again, I was invited to join, and I was really honoured, because at the time, you know, I don't know about how you feel, but in my younger day, I always wanted to go to America, you know, Miami and Atlanta, and, you know, what we see of that place is just looks fun and warm. You know, we don't have the sun here.
Yeah.
So through the radio show, because it was internet as well, it kind of linked me to people around the world, which is that's just the greatest thing about radio.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone, anywhere, and like everyone who's locked in, like they could be anywhere in the world and still receive empowering information.
For real.
So I was invited to write again in another book, and that book was called Wounds to Wisdom.
Okay.
And I chose to write how I regained back my confidence and my self-esteem at a young age, to get me to a point where I was able to just talk openly about healthy relationships, you know, all of the different signs of abuse. And I chose to write about building my confidence, because I realised that unless you knew me from growing up, you may not have knew what I've been through to get me to the confident space of being a presenter and a producer of a show, and, you know, being a celebrity presenter and presenting on awards. So for me, it was kind of like a good way of people actually understanding that you don't just wake up tomorrow out of a traumatic situation and your life is back to normal and you're confident. It takes time and work.
Definitely.
And I've had the greatness of winning various honorary awards for the work that I've done, inspirational adult. And as we speak, I've actually been nominated for a excellent Yummy Mummy award.
Come on.
For inspirational mother. So I'm excited for that.
Well done. Congrats for that, for real.
Yeah, so the voting has opened and I think it closes on either late Thursday or Friday morning. So you know what? It just goes to show that people see you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're doing the work, you just want to do the work.
Yeah, for real.
You know, I don't do that much interviews because I suppose I've been the interviewer and I'm like, I just want to do the work. So I just get my head down.
Yeah.
So, you know, when something pops up to say that you've been nominated for something, I think that that's a fantastic achievement just to be nominated, because it means that, you know, people see you. They might not tell you, they might not know you, but they recognise the hard work that you're putting in and the change that you're making.
Definitely. You know, I think it's very important for the listeners out there. We had to do a little background into yourself and what kind of like where you're coming from before we talk into the topic of tonight, which is domestic violence. And, you know, I just want kind of like the listeners to understand from your perspective, you work in this background, kind of a story of the journey of domestic violence. Of course, however much you want to share or don't share, that's up to you.
No, I think, you know, you can go on my website and you can find out my story. And, you know, as we've done a trigger warning for tonight's show, I'm not going to actually focus on any, you know, violent, traumatic behaviour. I'm just going to give you the journey, because I think when I share my story, I was a young girl and I don't like to focus on the violent side, because that's not the only sign of abuse.
Definitely.
And I think it's important for people to know that there are various signs of abuse and the violent side is just one of them.
Wow.
You know, and then there's the emotional side that's the other. And as you get older, there's the financial side of where someone can control you. And I suppose that's where we're at today in the lockdown situation that we're in. So for me, as a teenager, I found myself in an unhealthy relationship for many years, and I didn't realise that it was as unhealthy as it was. And when I was putting my stuff together, I realised that, you know, we're going back to the early 90s when I went through this.
Okay.
So it's a good amount of years. And for anyone who is, you know, age 30 to 40 plus and up will know that back then, refuges for women were for women, big women, women with children, women who were married.
Yeah.
And I found myself going back and forth because there was nothing for young girls. It was almost as if it didn't exist, but it did exist under the carpet.
Yeah.
So I found myself in that situation, and I will say that a nurse that I encountered in the hospital just gave me a real awakening that one day I may not come back here.
Wow.
And one day someone may not be able to have that conversation with me. And that's how I found myself coming out of the situation that I was in. And it wasn't easy to go through, because there's a period of time where something is happening to you and then there's the process of how you get out of it.
Yeah.
But I said to myself back then that if there's nothing for me now, what will there be for the next girl like me in the future?
Wow.
And as I started to become a woman and have my children, I then started to say to myself, you know what? If God brings me out of this, and I can have a successful life with my children, I will come back and create something. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew I had to come back and change something.
Yeah.
And years later, as my children got older, I started focusing and writing healthy relationship guides and plans and creating workshops. And then I just started getting myself into the local colleges and schools and things like that, and started to kind of just piece some sort of workshop together. And then I came away from the entertainment business probably about 4 or 5 years ago and got my diploma in domestic abuse.
Wow.
That's when I got my qualifications as the young person's IDVA and ISVA, and decided to just set up some programs.
Yeah.
And then I started to kind of team up with other charities, started taking referrals, started writing support plans, working with young people and families, boys and girls. And most of the stuff is like around youth violence or domestic abuse at home, healthy relationship education for boys and girls. I also got my relationship and sex education qualification because it also fits into relationships.
Yeah.
And then last year, I just decided that I would turn the project into a company.
Okay. Wow.
Because the demand was coming, and I could see that it's something that people are going to need. It's something that schools are going to need. It's something that support systems are going to need.
Yeah.
And it just steps from there.
Wow.
So it's been a journey, but you know what? When young people ask me, like, did you always want to own your own business and create something that you would run yourself?
Yeah.
No, I actually didn't.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I would have to run my own company and run my own project to actually see the change. I thought I could just, create something, partner up with people. But as I was partnering up with people, I was realizing that they can't all see my vision.
Yeah, for real.
I have to do this from my point of view.
So, you know what, Jenny, yeah? A lot of the time when people are in abusive relationships and any form of abuse, they just say, why don't you just leave? Just get out.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. So what would you say to those people that are listening now? Like, why didn't you just get out?
Do you know what? Having been there myself and having known how difficult it is, because we have to understand that some people have children, some people are reliant on their relationship for finance. You live together, you might own your place together. But also, I just think that saying to someone to come out, it's not as open and shut as we think. So if I give you an example, if you're in a relationship and someone cheats, everyone says, just leave, you'll be fine. But actually, there's a process that someone has to go through to realize I need to find my avenue. And I think when we're dealing with abusive situations, sometimes it's someone who is respected in the community, respected in their workplace. They run companies, and this is males and females. And it's not as easy to say I'm leaving, because we all know that when you pack up your stuff, where are you going?
For real.
And sometimes you've got too much stuff to pack, so you need to have a plan. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't take everything. And we hear it a lot of the time, especially now during lockdown, that most families will leave with the clothes on their back.
Yeah. Wow.
They get to a women's refuge and they don't have washing stuff, they don't have underwear, they don't have toothbrush, they don't any of those things, because at that point we need to go now. So I would say to anyone listening that if you have a friend or family member that has disclosed a form of abuse or an unhealthy sign in their relationship, I think you need to be there for them. I think you need to guide them, support them, show them support lines, helplines, take them on websites. You can go on the refuge website and find out the steps.
But
contact confidential helplines. You don't have to give your name. They will kind of help you to know what's in your area, where you can go, what help and what assistance is around you, and make your plan. But you know what? If you feel like you are in danger right now, then you need to call 999. Because if you are in immediate danger, ain't no waiting. You ain't got time to wait. You need to get out now and today.
Definitely. And what are healthy relationships? What is a healthy relationship compared to domestic violence? How do you know what the difference is?
So what I done was, terminology with young people is really important. And even when we started the conversation, I said to you that I'm not going to focus on violent behaviour. Because the hardest abuse to deal with and to see is emotional.
Mm.
Because that's someone playing in your head. That's someone calling you names. That's someone really getting into your mind. And people can't actually see that.
Yeah.
So when I started doing my programs, I decided to call it Healthy Relationships, to not just focus on relationships between intimate partners, but also to focus on relationships between friends, relationships between family members, because sometimes they're not healthy either.
Yeah, true.
You know, and when young people are bullying other young people, it's not always violence.
Yeah.
You know, people get bullied at work and don't even realise they're being bullied.
Yeah.
So by using the terminology of healthy relationships, I would say that that's just an opening for, because we need relationships in every walk of life.
Yeah.
And we need to focus on what's healthy. Name calling is not healthy. If you feel threatened, or if someone's threatening you with violence, that's not healthy. If you feel scared of even, you know, having a debate with someone or having a conversation with someone, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
If someone's constantly monitoring your movements and messaging you all day and trying to see where you are, there's an element of control. So the signs of unhealthy and healthy relationship, I don't think it's that. I think it's behaviours that can cause concern.
Okay. And you know,
because when go on.
I was going to say no worries. I was just going to say, so would that also link with the red flags that you mentioned earlier in regards to what to look out for? So if somebody is constantly controlling, like texting you consistently, would you class that as a red flag, or is there something before that?
I think there's two signs to that, because when I talk to young people, they're like, yeah, but it's okay for your partner to text you all day. It's actually really nice to know that someone cares.
Yeah.
But there is a borderline to that. There's someone caring, and then there's over the top.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that young people may not know over the top until we break it down.
Okay.
And even adults might not know over the top. Because if no one's, you know, for me, no one had a conversation with me about what relationships looked like.
Yeah.
How someone was supposed to be with me and how I was supposed to be with them and how much fun we were supposed to have and that side.
Okay.
You know, a lot of us just literally start dating.
Yeah, true.
You know, those conversations don't really take place. And for me, I just feel like, having had my own children and my own journey, those conversations was taking place from early.
Okay. So
because I wanted to make sure that I broke the cycle of what I had been through. Yeah.
So how did that happen? Because, you know, when you're speaking to young people, the last thing they want is their mum or their dad telling them about relationships. Do you know what I mean?
For real. No, for real.
So,
and it's true, because, you know, you don't even want to think about your parents having a intimate relationship.
Nah.
Or, you know, having a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. So it is kind of one of them subjects where the children will go, oh, no, I don't want to hear this. We don't want to talk about it. And also, parents probably feeling really uneasy about having that conversation with their children. So for me, I would say that the best way is to kind of talk to children about relationships.
Okay.
Who their best friends are. What type of relationship they have with their best friend. You know, what kind of support does your best friend give you?
Yeah.
And take it from there. But I think we just need to make sure that our young people understand that healthy is respect.
Okay.
Maintaining, you know, unhealthy relationships can happen between children and their parents when they're disrespectful.
Yeah.
So if we can take that disrespectful behaviour and actually break it down to our children, it will help them to understand that, you know, we're not just going to talk about your intimate relationship that you may have in the future.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about what it takes to be in a relationship.
Okay.
Why you need respect.
Yeah.
Why you should be supporting each other. What the different forms of abuse look like. And then we need to kind of talk realistically about love.
Yeah.
And lust and consent. And then the conversation doesn't really have to be directly around sex education.
Yeah.
Because if we start talking about consent, we don't actually have to talk about that part of it. Because consent is consent in all of our everyday life. Either we say yes to something or we say I don't know, or, you know, we can change our minds.
Yeah.
That's everyday life. So, you know, when some parents ask me, like, how can I have this conversation? I'm like, it's not as deep as you think.
Okay.
Because we can have that conversation without using the words that scare us as adults. And probably will throw your young person into not wanting to have that discussion right now with you.
For real. Okay. So, you know, when we're talking about that, and we spoke earlier about helplines, do they actually help? Do they actually do?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. I think the greatest thing is to have those helplines as a support. So whether you feel ready to leave, whether you're unsure of what type of relationship you're in, whether you just want to find out what's in your area, and even if you are a friend or family member of someone who you feel is in an unhealthy situation or violent situation, you can contact the helpline as well.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people to do that, so that at least when you're coming back to talk to your friend or family member, you're coming with facts that can actually give them solutions to think about their future and coming out of this situation, rather than just saying, just leave. You know, why are you staying anyway? Those things don't affect. And the other thing is, sometimes telling someone to leave immediately can put them in more danger.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more about thinking about the longer term as well as the short term.
Definitely. They're definitely there to give you that short-term support of what you need today and now, but they can also give you a look into the future and contacts, and when you're ready to do this, these are the people that you could contact. Refugees are here, and here.
Okay.
You know, it just gives you a solution.
Yeah. You know,
rather than,
I was just going to say, we're in COVID times at the minute. And, you know, I just wanted to hear your thoughts, really, of the impact of COVID and how people can look after themselves and their family while they're going through this third lockdown.
Definitely. And I mean, it's something that none of us have ever experienced before.
Yeah.
I think that every family and every individual person, including our young people, are feeling differently about the situation. So not only are we being isolated in our homes, schools are closed, workplaces are closed. You know, some people's companies have been closed on and off for months.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of uneasy. There's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of lack of motivation, especially for our young people who are now doing online schooling.
Yeah.
I would just say that people just need to be mindful of how everyone's feeling.
Okay.
I think we need to sit and have conversations as a family and have check-ins. You know, if you've got young teenagers, you know that if you say to them, how are you today? They're going to run off. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you sit down to have that meal, whether it's breakfast or dinner or lunch, whichever meal, some families sit together all through all of those meals. Some families separate.
Yeah.
But I think now's the time for us to kind of come together and start having conversations, like on how everyone's really feeling. You know, I check in. So I have my own clients that some of them are in school, some of them are out of school. Yeah. So through each of the lockdowns, we have not stopped working.
Okay.
So for us, it's kind of, when we speak to our young people, it's finding out how they are, what level of mood they're in, checking in with mum, checking in with dad or grandparents, siblings, and just checking in to see how everyone's doing. And I think the other side of that as well is, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, true.
You know, we don't all wake up. I'm still working, and like everyone else, I'm getting, you know, emotionally, I'm quite tired. We don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
We have to deal with our family. So if you're still working, it's also difficult because you're working from home. You may have a family. Pandemic, there's so much things going on within pandemic, and then you've got to still do your job.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, now's the time for us to start being honest with ourselves and letting family and friends know that I'm tired, I'm stressed, I can't have this conversation with you now. You know, I need my evening to myself. And I think we should respect how people are feeling, and we need to respect how our children are feeling as well.
Definitely. You know, you kind of made me aware that it's Teen Domestic Violence Month. What does that actually mean? What I didn't. You know what? I'll be honest. I never even knew it was a month. If I'm honest.
Do you know what? It isn't here.
Okay.
It's not as big here as it is in the US.
Okay.
And because I've partnered with the US quite a bit on different stuff, and I've gone out there and run programs and connected with people, it kind of made me realize that, you know what, I need to make sure that I'm doing this as part of my awareness for my community. And the awareness is just kind of, as we said before, making families and young people aware of relationships before anything happens.
Yeah, okay.
Because if we're not even having the discussion, then when it happens, we're back in the same situation that I was in all of those years ago, with another young person saying, but no one spoke to me about relationships.
Yeah.
At least if we start having the conversation and making the community aware that, you know, it's not as hard as we think to talk to our young people about relationships. And once you start doing it and your children start getting older, you will form a bond. And you'll be able to be that supporting parent to your child should anything happen to them in that relationship, or even just talking about breakups.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even talk about how hard it is to actually break up with someone.
True.
Do you know what I mean? Until one of our friends breaks up with someone, and then, you know, we start to see the hurt, we start to see the upset, you know, all of those things. So it's not a bad thing for us to start talking about how you get through a breakup.
Okay.
That most people there's always one person who in the breakup is upset.
Yeah, definitely. And as they say, you know,
no one ever just breaks up and everyone's like, yeah, cool. One person, you might not show it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not easy to deal with a breakup. But then on the other side of that, relationships can be some of the most blessed things that we can go through.
Definitely. And, you know, it's always better to have prevention rather than cure, as they say.
Most definitely. And because I run an early intervention and prevention service, I know more so how important that is. And also because I've been in that situation of the unknown, it's definitely better. Had I known the basics of what a relationship should feel like, and just little signs to maybe look out for, that you might have to kind of think, all right, if I see a little bit more of this, then something's wrong. If I hear that again, then something's wrong. If I had that, I may not have stayed as long as I stayed.
Okay.
I may have actually told someone quicker than I did.
But you know what,
sis? It took me a long time to share it with people.
Okay.
And then when you do share it, you get the judgment of what we just said. Why don't you just leave? There's no way he can be doing that to you. He's actually a really nice guy. You get all of that stuff. So then you start to feel guilty yourself. Yeah. Because now you've been holding and hiding someone else's secret, because it's not your secret, it's theirs.
Okay.
You know, so I definitely feel like had there been those conversations for me, either in my family or at school, I might have been a little bit more aware.
Okay. And you know, when it comes to that, do you think social media has played a huge part in the impact of domestic violence?
I feel like social media's got its ups and downs.
Okay.
And when it comes to awareness and raising money for charities and that type of stuff and raising awareness, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I still think there's a lot more work for us to do around domestic violence, unhealthy relationships. I don't see the conversation enough.
Yeah.
And for someone like me who's come all the way through, you know, from the age of 16, 17 to now the age of 48, and to not really see much of a change apart from a lot of the change that I'm doing at the front. There's always a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But on the front line, I'm still not seeing enough.
Okay.
And, you know, last year was the year that the government had said probably about 2 years ago that healthy relationship was going to be part of the school curriculum at some point. And obviously now we've come into pandemic.
Yeah.
That's not, how can you say, it's not a priority.
Yeah.
So, you know, for someone like me, now's my time to just keep doing the Teen DV Awareness Month, like this month, putting information out, letting parents know that, you know, you can contact me if you need to. I will try to signpost you, because I'm also the National Ambassador for Domestic Violence UK.
Okay.
And I became an ambassador for them about 8 years ago.
Wow.
And my role is to, you know, advocate for change, promote the clothing, because the money spent on the clothing on the website goes towards the counselling sessions and the phone lines and putting out all of the awareness messages. So for me, it's like, even if you haven't experienced it and you don't know anyone who has, you can still get involved as well.
Definitely. And, you know, I want to talk about some of the things that you've been doing. Can you let the listeners know something about the one-to-one support offers that are out there?
Yeah, so what we do is we take referrals, one-to-one, from either like social services. There's a new program that I started working on last year called the Divert Youth Program. And this is a diversion program for young people that come through custody who may have been involved in some sort of violent behaviour. And what we do is we create support plans for a young person based on what's gone on for them, what they need, and then what the family needs. So if we recognise that the young person has some sort of trauma and it's affecting the family, we will bring in, say, a counselling support therapist to work with the family through those experiences so that we can start to create the change.
Okay.
So the aim of the work is to support the trauma from a young age.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't play out later on.
Okay. Wow.
And again, that's part of the early intervention, in bringing in early intervention to support mentally, physically, the whole package, like holistically, to make sure that we help this young person and their family as early as possible.
Okay. And then you've also got a film as well.
Yeah, so when I started to create my programs, I was using films off of YouTube to show to young people, because what I also realised is that you can have a conversation about something with young people and they may or may not get it. But when they watch a situation played out on someone else on screen, they then start to strike up a conversation. Wow. So probably after about 2 years of using other people's film, I wanted my own film, because I was like, I want my own package so that I don't have to use any resources that belong to anyone else.
Yeah.
But also a resource that would actually also show the impact of what an unhealthy relationship can do to a young person mentally at school and in life.
Wow.
So we created the film, and the film is basically, it's a story of a young girl who meets an older boy and he starts to have controlling behaviour over her.
Okay.
And in the film it covers, now I done this film probably about maybe 3 years ago. The film covers online safety, it covers online dating in young people, it covers consent, it covers control, it also covers the support of your friends when you're going through something, how they may or may not recognise those signs.
Yeah.
And it's something that I wanted to have that. And again, if you remember, I said to you, some of the stuff I've done, I feel like it's before my time. Because that film now, we also now need to start talking about online safety.
Yeah.
We need to start talking about online dating and having relationships with people that you've just met online. You know, online bullying, all of that type stuff is so relevant, and it's going to be relevant to our young people for a long time, because this is the times that they're living in, and it's only going to evolve, and more and more and more of it is going to be coming up.
Definitely. And how can people, or can people go and see that?
Do you know what? The film itself is part of a healthy relationship package that I take into schools. So the trailer of it is on my website, but what I wanted to do is use the film to get in touch with schools and show them that, you know what, you book the film, you book the whole package.
Yeah.
You get a 2 to 3 hour half day workshop around relationships, online safety, all of that stuff. Plus you get the film. And then I also give books to the young people as well, so they can go away with something.
Yeah. And, you know, have you seen an impact, sis? Have you seen people, you know, get out of relationships and things like that because of what you've gave them?
Most definitely. I think, you know, I've been working one-to-one with young people and families for coming up 4 years now.
Wow.
And I have young people around me who may have witnessed domestic abuse at home.
Okay.
They may have been in an unhealthy teen relationship. And a lot of them are still around me now.
Okay.
And I get to see the changes in them, so much so that one of the most touching things over the last couple of weeks is hearing my older girls, who I've had probably for like 3 years. Because once you start supporting someone, it doesn't end.
Yeah.
They're always there and they're always able to contact me. I don't just say, right, the sessions are over, don't contact me again. I'm always open for that. And I think that's an important part of who I am. Okay. And what I do for the community. That's personal to me.
Yeah.
And to hear one of my young people over the last couple of weeks say that she wants to do what I do.
Wow.
And didn't even realise it was a job.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And didn't even realise that someone who has gone through so much for herself could actually come out of it and actually make a positive impact on someone else.
Yeah.
And when you hear those things, for me, that beats any award, any conversation. It just beats everything, because for me, that's why I do this.
Definitely. And you know, sis, people are asking me, how can they connect with you?
So you can connect with me through, I have a website, and my website will connect you to all my social media. So my website is Jenni with an I, Steele, STEELE.co.uk. On Instagram, it's official Jenni Steele. The project has its own page as well. So that's project_Yana, YANA_CIC.
Yeah.
And on Twitter at Project Yana 2017, which is when I became a project. So I think that's like quite a date for me.
Yeah.
So I'll probably always keep that. So Project Yana 2017 on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah.
And if failing that, I'd hope to think that you could just put my name into Google at this point, and I've done quite enough work.
Okay. And it just pops up.
Or something to come up about me.
Okay. You know, I've really enjoyed our conversation, and people are asking lots of different questions. We've got somebody here saying, in your opinion, does it affect girls more than boys?
I think that, I suppose one of the issues around this is the separation of the education of separating boys and girls when having this conversation.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's important because it affects boys in different ways that it may affect girls.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that our boys are taught to be a little bit stronger and not to cry.
Yeah.
And if they have witnessed abuse, it may have caused a trauma to them that later on it may play out somewhere in their life. But that's not to say it won't do the same for girls. So I think, you know, domestic abuse as a whole have mainly focused on women. And when you go on a lot of charity websites, it's very female-led, and that's because of how long it's been going on and shown towards women. But men also have a hard time with this as well.
Okay.
So I feel like the effects are different, and the one thing that I suppose sets out what I've created from other organisations is that I work with boys and girls around domestic abuse. Wow. So I don't just do one-on-one work with girls, because I think it's important to have one-on-one work with boys as well. And we never know how trauma is going to play out in someone. And then the other thing I would say is that young people hear and see things more than we think.
Definitely.
And when you think that they're in their beds sleeping, they're not. And if you take yourself back to your own childhood, you know you might have sat on the stairs, sneaked downstairs. You know, there's things that we do. So for me, I would definitely say that I know that I've read quite recently that, you know, Childline and the NSPCC have had higher calls from young people calling from their bedroom.
Wow.
From their mobile phone. You know, so I think that we have to be mindful as parents that children are witnessing and hearing and seeing and being involved in a lot of conversations that we might just not know that they're privy to.
Definitely. We've got lots of people saying big up to you, you know, sharing your story.
Thank you.
And actually, you know, doing something positive with something so negative.
Definitely. I think because I feel like I'm lucky to have come through to be where I am.
Definitely.
And, you know, I seeked all of the support and the counselling support that I had to do. But one of the biggest things that I had to do was go back into my family and look at how I was raised and look at how my mum was raised and look at how my dad was raised. And there was a lot of deep truths in my own situation. And those things are not easy, but it's something that I faced really early on. And I feel like one of the things that also holds on to us in staying is that if you don't know something is wrong, why would you go?
Definitely. Wow.
So, you know, people do contact me quite a bit and talk about, you know, how did I get to this point? And all I can say is that I've been openly honest with who I am and what I've been through. Looking at my family background, that was tough. But I can definitely say that from a young age, I literally have looked in the mirror and just seen my whole soul.
Wow.
And I know that I had to stick with it. I had to change some stuff. You know, I've been honest with my children about my situation. And I can openly say to you that the conversations that I have with them around relationships and intimate partners, and we are on a good stead with that. There is nothing that they wouldn't not want to talk to me about.
That's good.
And going from not having that as a young person to creating that as an adult is a big thing for me, because that's a break in a cycle that I didn't have.
Definitely. You know, I think lots of people have enjoyed our conversation. You've got getting lots of big ups, sis. You're getting lots of love.
So, you know what? All I can say to everyone is thank you so much. I can't do this without you. I can't do this without people supporting and booking programs and supporting the domestic violence charities and putting the information out, whether it's on your Facebook or on your story or anything like that. So, you know what? I definitely haven't done this alone. I think a lot of people, I'm the silent voice for a lot of people that might not be ready to talk yet.
Yeah, for real.
You know, and they may never talk. But just know that I'm going to advocate for it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's my journey.
Definitely. It's your calling. I can hear the passion in your voice, so it's definitely what you were made to do.
Definitely. I feel that as well.
But, you know, is there any final thoughts you want to say to the listeners out there before we go?
Do you know what? I just want to say to everyone that we are in some real challenging times. And so much is going on for so many of us. Now's the time to pull together. You're not alone. We're all going through, no matter what you see on social media or what you see on TV, people are going through some stuff. I just want to throw some respect, and I do this like when my delivery drivers, I've had the same drivers for years, when they come and we have a chat and, you know, they're still working, I'm still working. We have to just, you know what, big up the delivery drivers when they drop your items. You know, hail up your postman. You know, the women and the men at Tesco big them up, thank them.
Yeah.
You know, in passing conversation, because so many people behind the scenes are keeping us all going. You know, even when we're ordering our stuff on Amazon or Pretty Little Thing or whatever we're ordering from,
Yeah.
someone has had to go in the warehouse and pick that and package it for it to get to us.
For real.
You know, so for us to still be able to function on the other side, we have to just give thanks and just, you know, be kind.
Yeah, I think we need more kindness, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, you know, I just want to
thank you to everyone for, you know, coming through, listening, supporting. And yeah, I hope that someone somewhere has had some value from the conversation.
I'm getting lots of love, so I think that's definitely true. You know, I just want to say thank you to you. I think I've told you before, I first ever heard you on the Breadback podcast with White Yardie and Leah.
Yes, and big up to White Yardie and Remy.
I know, innit? Big respect to them. And like I said to you, you're honest and you just tell it as it is. So that's why I had to get you on. And, you know, any stuff you want me to share for the listeners out there, please send it my way. It's always going to be shared. So,
I will definitely do that. And any like little information that I put out, you know, around just supporting young people, and if there's any questions I can answer and things like that, please get in contact with me.
Yeah.
We are slightly busy at the minute, but believe you me, every DM, every email gets answered. So if there's something that you want to do, if there's some support that you need, or even if you just want to ask a question for a friend, just do that.
Definitely. And once again, thank you. And I'm sure we'll have you on again.
No, listen, definitely. There's so much knowledge and education and solutions that I've picked up, and I just want to get them out there as best we can. So if there's another topic that I cover that is of interest to you and your listeners, please just shout me. I'll be happy to come back and do that.
Oh, bless this. You know what? I hope you have a good rest of the evening, and we'll speak again.
You.
Have a good night.
You too, Kat. Take care. Good night, everyone.
Bless. Yes, people, please do go and support Jenni Steele. Okay, she's got so much love, so much knowledge. Go and check her out for real. Okay, and of course, any information, we have 3 places in Coventry if you are suffering from domestic violence and would like some helplines. There's Women's Haven, there's Relate, and Victim Support. So you can check them out if you are going through anything that we've mentioned. Okay.